Good morning. I'm Jane Renninger, the chair of the 55th Anniversary Committee. 55 years ago yesterday, on November 2nd, 1964, the Articles of Incorporation were signed for University City United Church. 5 of the charter members are still part of our congregation today, and we're going to have a brief conversation with each of them to find out what it was like to start this new church that we all call UCUC. Ginger Taylor from our committee will be talking with Joyce Boomer, Betty Kaler, and Bob and Betsy Clopine. Although she cannot be with us today, we will also share some words from Jackie Cafe regarding her memory of the early days of UCUC.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Joyce Boomer, who is one of the founding members of UCUC. Joyce and her husband, Bob, were very instrumental in starting the church along with several other people. Joyce, would you like to tell your story, please?
Yes. Well, it started with Mel Harder, who was the minister at Pioneer Church, where we all had started. And he was interested in looking into the new University City population. And he thought it might be a nice place to start a church. So we had canvassing, and the other ministers from around came with each one of us, and we knocked on doors and introduced ourselves. And so that was what accumulated the first few people. I think it was like 6 people in our house on Lord Cecil, and that was the beginning.
And where did you hold services?
Well, at first in homes, but when we got bigger, we went to Marcy's school, and there were bungalows,
right? Wonderful
bungalows, and my husband had a trailer, so he brought the pulpit, the altar, and the organ up to the church every Sunday. So we actually had a service in the bungalows.
Very good. Thank you. It's nice to have families involved like that. I would have loved to have seen Bob with the trailer.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been fun. Okay. And now I would like to, do you have any other information or stories about how the people came together and what the logistics was for getting our church?
Mostly it was the hands-on people.
Okay.
You know, they being a new area, new school, everybody was brand new.
Right.
So it just that we were all available.
Right. And then the conference got involved, I understand.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit how that happened?
You know, actually, I don't know the details on that. We had committees that did different things.
Okay. And then along came Pastor Kaler and his family.
Yes.
All right.
In 1964.
Yes.
In April.
Well, we thank you very much for starting this church and having the energy to go out into the community. You must have been a great representative, you and Bob.
We tried.
You tried it. You did well. We thank you very much for your endeavor. Thank you. Now we'd like to talk to you, Betty. Betty and Doug came here with 3 children after the Synod and all accepted, and he accepted the position with us. Betty, would you like to tell us a few of your memories on the first couple of weeks when you were here?
Yes, one of my favorite memories is the beginning of UCUC. After Doug was asked to start the church by the conference, I was with him. We were interviewed at Colleen and Dick Odom's home just down the street on Freed. he was hired, and 2 months later we moved down from the San Fernando Valley where Doug had his first church. It was an exciting time. What a week it was. How many people can move into a new community and instantly have such kind, supportive friends? It was a wonderful experience. We moved down on a Tuesday. The Wednesday night, the steering committee, made up of 9 people, including Joyce Boomer and Bob, met at our home to plan the first service. Our home was in chaos. We had boxes everywhere. Our children were 1.5, 2.5, and 5, so it was like a circus. But they did a wonderful job of planning, and we had our first service that next Sunday, just 4 days later. The steering committee had gone around and canvassed, and it was a wonderful experience with about 37 people who had come to worship for the first time to spread the good news in University City. On faith, Doug announced at that first service that we would have our first choir practice that next Thursday night, and not knowing who would come, if anybody. We had our second service included Sunday school for children in the community, and some of the steering committee were the first teachers. We did sing the following Sunday. The steering committee, was incredibly faithful. The commitment level was so strong. Each Monday night when they would come to our home, they would make sure that they weren't all 9 of them weren't going out of town at the same time, because they always wanted some of them to be at the following week's service. That was really the beginning of the commitment that we've had all these 55 years.
That's right.
It's just been amazing.
Yes, it has. And Betty, we thank you for the spirit that you brought to UCUC and that you continue to bring to UCUC. It's a pleasure to look up in the choir and see you singing and smiling. We thank you.
Thank you.
Betsy and Bob, welcome back to UCUC. We're so glad to have you come back and join us and be active with us. And we'd like to hear a little bit about your story of the first beginnings of UCUC.
Thank you, Ginger. It's wonderful to be back in this congregation again. And like Joyce alluded to, it was a busy time for all of us. We all had little ones, and there was a lot of work to be done. And we worked together. We each found our place in the church and did it. And it was a very busy time in the survival of the church.
Yes, I would imagine.
And that's one of the differences in today's church, is that we have more time for outreach. And in those early days, it was more, let's survive and make a go of this church and this community.
Very nice. And how about you?
Well, I can remember from Pioneer Church, where we were going when we first came back to San Diego. We had spent some time in the East, and we were going to move into a new house, and we chose University City. And we were going to Pioneer Church at the time. And once we heard about this church, we thought, this is where we want to be. So we started meeting with the Kahlers, and we met in homes, and it was exciting because we were both pretty busy, and my first remembrance that I can really remember is meeting at the Kahlers and sitting around, and Doug Kahler said, we need a choir director, Bob. How would you like to be it? It was not a question. It was a statement. And I said, well, I've never done that before, but I'll try it. And it was a wonderful experience. We had some good times.
Good.
along those lines, Doug asked me one day if I would be willing to start the women's group. And I said, I mean, what else are you going to say, right? And so we did. We started the women's group of UCUC and did whatever it was that we had to do with the conference to make it actually happen. It was a fun time, too, getting to know each other. And we had some fun events like Holiday House, where we raised money. We did a lot of things, but mainly got acquainted with each other and dreamed about what the impact our church would have in the community.
Well, we really thank you for your history that you just told us about, and we're so glad to have you back. You three plus Jackie and many others were the foundation for this church, and it has served its community and its members very well. We're a very vital, active, giving church, and that's thanks to Pastor Kaler and also to all the ministers who have come after him. And today, as we heard, we're packing backpacks. And Reverend Iona has just come in here with her family and has been a wonderful help and guidance. And we appreciate the beginning people who started the church and the ones who are here now. Thank you all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.